All right, let's go ahead and jump in. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Molly McGurr. I am the Event and Program Manager for Traverse Connect, and I'm also the main point of contact moving forward with Leadership Grand Traverse. So if you have any questions at all throughout the process, the application process, questions overall about scheduling, I will include my information here in the chat box, and you can feel free to reach out to me at any time. I also just want to note that for today's session, this is a chance for you to ask any and all questions that you may have right now. So to do that, there is a Q&A button located at the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to submit any questions and we will be going over those at the end of the session today. Additionally, this will be recorded and shared on our Traverse Connect website and YouTube page by the end of the day today. So on that note, I would now like to turn it over to Kathy Meyer-Luz, who is with us through Leadership Grand Traverse as well. So Kathy, thanks for being here with us today.
Well, sure. Thanks for setting this up or organizing this. I think this is kind of exciting. I do want to introduce everybody who is in the window so that our participants can, I know that they have their names there, but just who they are, because you'll hear from all four of us actually. So Camille is also with Traverse Connect, and she really helps us with the content that goes into Leadership Grand Traverse, and you're going to hear from her to talk about some scholarships later on this morning. And then Max Anderson is an LGT alum, and you will hear a little bit from him as well too about his experience and who he is and how Leadership Grand Traverse has helped him, has enhanced his life experiences. So I am, as Molly said, Kathy Meyer-Luz. Actually, I'm a professor and department chair at Grand Valley State University in educational leadership and counseling. I also am a leadership specialist consultant at Traverse Bay Area Intermediate School District, although I will be retiring this summer, so I'm kind of excited about that. And my association with Traverse Connect is I am a graduate of Leadership Grand Traverse as well as Leadership Little Traverse. It's a program that obviously I feel very strongly about, and so now I co-facilitate with Dr. Rick Vandermolen, Leadership Grand Traverse, and we've been doing it, I want to say, Molly, 3-4 years, something like that. So I'm going to share my screen just to kind of guide us with this webinar, and Camille is going to let me know if I'm doing it okay with a thumbs up. All right, great. However, no, I'm not advancing very well, no. Okay, so Leadership Grand Traverse, actually I say that there are two purposes, two outcomes that we'd like to have with Leadership Grand Traverse. The first is that we really wish to, well, let me back up a little bit. This is gonna be our agenda first, and then I'll dive right in. So our agenda is that we'll talk about what Leadership Grand Traverse is, what will you walk away with, or hopefully walk away with from the experience. What's the structure? Because we did change the structure this year. It's been different than it has been in the past. As I mentioned before, Camille will talk about some scholarship opportunities. And then we do have Max here that will talk about his experience with Leadership Grand Traverse. And I'm going to pull in Molly as well too, as she is an alum also. And then the logistics of how do you apply and what our timeline is and when we're going to get started. And then we'll turn it over to you to see if you have any questions and answers. And I think Molly's going to help navigate some of that for us. Okay. So what is Leadership Grand Traverse? So this is our mission that guides the decisions that we actually make. I'll let you read that there. But as I was starting to say, really, the hope or the vision is that you leave Leadership Grand Traverse with two main outcomes. The first is a personal leadership, that you become more aware of what your personal leadership, not just style is, but how you can actually look outside of yourself to other styles and kind of maneuver in and out. You grow in your own leadership sense, I guess is what I want to say. And the second is to become not just aware of what your community is, but you will have experience with the different sectors of the community and how do they intersect and how do they work together. And hopefully you will have a passion within yourself to give in one of those sectors in whatever way that looks for you. And I'll talk a little bit more about how I do that myself, and I'm sure Max will and Molly also. So what will you walk away from with the experience? And this year, like I said, we're going to talk about the structure a little bit, but it's like an 8 to 9 month experience that you will have. And what we hope you walk away with is knowing or having some exposure to some of our regional and community challenges that we have. And like I said, some passion for how to solve some of those community challenges, or how we can work together to mitigate maybe some of those challenges. Mentioned before, personal and professional growth, that obviously is a mission of Leadership Grand Traverse, that you're walking away with a better sense of your own leadership style and purpose. And lastly, understanding the various sectors of the community. And when we talk about structural, you'll hear all about those different sectors of the community that you will experience. We start off with Leadership Grand Traverse with an opening retreat. We have a facilitator from Grand Rapids who facilitates Leadership Grand Rapids as well as Leadership Grand Haven. Dave Vermilia is our person, and he will facilitate like a DISC profile. DISC is a leadership profile, and so you will actually walk away with what your profile is, but also then how that relates to the other DISC profiles. And we do that in the opening retreat. And then Rick Vandermolen, my co-facilitator, we hope to weave that DISC profile into the other sessions too, so that again, you continue to grow and learn in knowing who you are, but also how you work with other leadership styles. And the rest you can see there too, you know, better communication, conflict resolution. I mean, especially I believe in this day and age, we need to improve upon that civil discourse and how we communicate with one another and how we resolve conflicts in a productive manner. And so we will be talking a lot about that, you know, throughout each of our sessions. And we do end with some action planning. We have a closing retreat. So after this whole wealth of experiences and seeing what our community challenges are, now what? We don't just want to give you the experiences, but we also want to give you the opportunity to say, now what? Where do we go from here? And hopefully you will leave the experience with some, not just some great friends, but also some tangible knowledge and skills of what to do next and where to go from here. So I'm going to turn it over to Molly to talk a little bit about the structure and how we have changed the structure for this next class.
Perfect. Thank you, Kathy. So some of you may have heard about Leadership Grand Traverse from previous alumni. And if you have, it may sound a little different from what we're doing this year. In the past, we did have 2 different sessions. So we had a spring and a fall session. These were great. They included all the sessions that you will be experiencing as well, but it was a much tighter time frame. So it was about 3 to 4 months, and we were meeting weekly, which we understood was a real struggle for some people with demanding jobs and families and not always being able to take a full day out once a week. So taking that into consideration, we decided to move our program back to a once a year program spanning about 7 to 8 months long. This allows our participants to have to meet every 3 to 4 weeks instead of that every week for a full day basis. So it allows your availability to kind of open up a little bit and to be a little bit more flexible. So we'll be kicking off Leadership Grand Traverse starting mid-August with our orientation and opening retreat, and it will go through March of 2021 right before spring break. So again, these will take place about every 3 to 4 weeks for one day at a full session. I do highly encourage everyone who is listening today to head over to our Traverse Connect website and click on the Leadership Grand Traverse page, where you will find all of the sessions listed out and their dates accompanied with that. Why that's important is because we know how important it is for everyone to participate in all of the sessions in order to fully get a sense of the community as a whole and what it means, all the different sectors. So we do have an attendance policy that does require full participation at every single session. So it's really important to take a look at those dates to make sure you don't have any pre-planned vacations, any meetings that might get in the way, to ensure 100% availability to be there all day throughout those times. And as it's listed here, our classes begin at 8:30 a.m. and go through 4:30 p.m. And what you can expect with that is a lunch provided to you every session as well. So kind of going back to talk about what those sessions look like, Kathy briefly mentioned the opening retreat, which is a really great opportunity to get to know everyone in your class who's going through with you on a deeper level and to find out more about your own personal leadership styles. From there, we go into the different sessions, which again, you can find those listed on our website. I did put the link in the chat box for you. Our sessions really vary. You know, we have a diversity, equity, and inclusion day, a natural resource day, arts and culture. We really try to dig into every single sector of our community to find what might be interesting to you. And we do have brief descriptions of those as well listed on the website. So once you go through, we'll finish up with our graduation, as Kathy was stating, with the now what. But more than just the sessions and going through, we really encourage our alumni to stay together, to network afterwards, to meet up when they can, and to find their passions and common interests and to move forward with those, whether it be in volunteering opportunities, board settings, however you would like to move forward together. We really encourage that with not only your class, but the entire alumni section. You know, this program has been going on since the 1990s. So it's a really great opportunity to find other people who might share that same passion as you and to get connected, you know, find your passion and move forward from there. So on that note, I would now like to turn it over to Camille, who will speak about some of our scholarship opportunities that we have available as well.
I'm going to jump in really quick before Camille, Molly. Two things. One is my co-facilitator, Rick, was struggling to get into the webinar, and so I sent him, must be my link, so I know it says Kathy under his name, but everyone please meet Dr. Rick Vandermolen there in the corner. So that's how he became part of this webinar. And the second one is I just really wanted to reiterate what you had said, Molly, about the networking piece and the attendance piece. The attendance piece is important not only so that you do experience the full of it, is what Molly had said, but also for the networking. If we have participants that are coming in and out, then the networking becomes more difficult, and that's what really adds to the experience and adds to what is my passion and that kind of next steps as well. So just wanted to reiterate, you know, that it's not that we're trying to say, you know, we're going to hold you there, but rather we want you to really fully experience the wealth of the program. And that networking piece is big. So with that, go ahead, Camille, talk about our scholarship opportunities.
Thanks, Kathy. So hi, everyone. I'm Camille Hoisington. I'm head of strategic projects at Traverse Connect. And I want to tell you about our scholarship opportunity for Leadership Grand Traverse this year. They are called our Creative Coast Scholarships. And this year we are offering 5 scholarships for creative professionals. And I want to tell you a little bit about why we're doing this. So Traverse Connect recognizes that there's often barriers to entry to Leadership Grand Traverse for creative professionals. And that's because the fee of $2,000 upfront, it's typically footed by the participant's employer. But many professionals working in the creative sectors are very often freelance, maybe own their own small business or work on a very small team. And so the upfront fee of $2,000, maybe they cannot afford to pay it upfront or out of pocket. So this is us recognizing that there is this barrier, and we want to provide a means of entry for creative professionals to Leadership Grand Traverse. And this scholarship program is made possible thanks to the support and sponsorship of the Michigan Film and Digital Media Office out of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So these scholarships will cover 90% of the $2,000 fee. That's $1,800 total covered by this scholarship. You will be asked to pay the additional $200, and that's so that we can ensure that we have your buy-in to the program. So to qualify for this scholarship, you must be an individual working in one of the creative sectors. And those creative sectors, you'll see the web page is listed there. You can take a look and see if you qualify. I'm also posting it in the chat channel. Those creative sectors are defined and determined by the US Census Bureau. And it's a long list. There are 12 main creative sectors, and within each of those, there's many sectors within those. So take a look. You might be surprised to see that you qualify. The creative sectors are not just the usual things you might think of, like art, music, performing arts. It's also things like software development, creative technology, marketing, advertising. So do take a look. So another qualification factor, you do not need to be a member of Traverse Connect to apply for a scholarship. You do need to be a member if you are applying the regular way. However, if you're not an existing member, we call them investors at Traverse Connect, we will invite you to become a member, and we are offering an executive level membership at a 75% discount to those scholars. To apply for the scholarship, it's really easy. You just apply via our regular application page. You'll come to a section that will ask you how you're planning to pay for the program. And you'll see a selection box that says, I want to apply for the Creative Coast Scholarship. You'll click that box and it will bring you to another few questions where you'll be asked to enter your industry sector and a few other multiple choice questions, and then a very short piece will just ask you why you think you qualify for this scholarship. And those scholarship applications will be reviewed along with the rest of our applications, and much like the rest of the participants, scholars will be selected and notified by July 17th as well. If you have any questions about the Creative Coast scholarships, please ask me. My email address is here at the bottom of this slide, and we'll be sharing this around afterwards. Thanks. And over to Max Anderson, who is an alumnus of Leadership Grand Traverse.
Thank you, Camille. Thanks for having me today. I'm excited that we've got so many people here that want to learn more about Leadership Grand Traverse, which in my opinion is one of the most impactful programs here in the Traverse City region for a number of things. So I guess to begin, in my opinion, there are kind of three things that you need in order to kind of make the decision as to whether or not you want to be a part of this program. The first one is you need to have a passion for the region. That's for sure. You need to have a desire to become more plugged in, and you've got to want to leave this place better than you found it. For me, the experience kind of started where, I had heard some talk around town about this program, and, a lot of people that I knew and respected had been a part of it. And so I decided to, dig a little bit more and find out more about it. So I went on the chamber at the time, the chamber's website, and read a little bit and talked to some more people. And one of the first things that I noticed was, holy Moses, it's expensive. And that was a bit of a barrier. I worked for a large bank at the time, and I went to them and said, hey, I want to do this program, for those three reasons that I just mentioned. And, they basically told me no, my employer did. And the reason I tell you this is because I chose to apply for a scholarship and hopefully get it and pay for it out of my own pocket. And I got to say, it was worth every penny. So that's why I tell you all that. But one of the biggest sentiments that I took out of this was, and I think Kathy had mentioned this earlier, I thought I knew Traverse City in northern Michigan pretty well, growing up here my entire life. And then leaving the program, I realized that I didn't know anything. There's just so much to it. No matter how much you think you're plugged in, for some reason, the way this program is structured, it just exposes you to so much more, and you see it in a different way from a different perspective, which I think is so incredibly important. It was truly a transformative experience for me. It changed my career trajectory. It changed my relationships with different organizations. And it really was a journey of self-discovery too. I remember when I went through the program too, it was not a 13 session year-long program. I was one of the people that went through and did it in the fall of 2016. And actually I've got right here my Leadership Grand Traverse book right next to me that I still have. But I'm jealous for you that are potentially going to do this program and get to do it for an entire year. So it is just to share a couple stories or takeaways from some of the days that we had together in my group. One of my favorites was state and local economy. Was one of the days we did where we brought in some government officials, locally from the state level, and they talked to us about the legislature and how everything works. And then we did this exercise with, I believe, Gabe Schneider of 360 Strategies or something like that. And we did this mock, take a bill from into kind of the negotiation process and learn basically how the sausage is made in the government, which is really cool, both locally and at the state level. And then, but the most impactful day for me was Health and Human Services, where we got exposed to, we paired up in groups of two. And your experience might be a little bit different now. I know the program has kind of changed, but I'm sure the central teaching is going to be the same. We paired up in groups of two, and then we went to a local, a nonprofit, basically. The one that I went to was Father Fred. So again, thinking I knew about Traverse City and things like, everybody knows what Father Fred is, right? I didn't. I had no clue the scope of what they do. And we took a full tour with the executive director at the time, Deb Hasse, and we cried. We laughed. We had just a wonderful experience and learned more about them. And then at the end of the day, we all got together and shared our experiences. And, there was a group that went to, with Ryan Hannon with Street Outreach to one of the homeless camps in Traverse City. And there was one that went to the Women's Resource Center. And we were crying together back at the chamber, talking about these experiences. And the whole thing, kind of tying it all together, the entire experience brings you so close to these, 20 or so people that you're in this program with. You make lifelong friends. Our group now, it doesn't seem like it's possible. It's been 4 years, and we still get together periodically. We still talk. We still all communicate. And it helped me too with those relationships in different sectors. I think Kathy mentioned that as well, that it's not like a bunch of bankers and insurance agents and realtors, it's all of those, but then it's people from Munson and people from Elmer's and people from small businesses you've never heard of. And you learn not just from the days that you go on, but you learn from the people that are in the program as to what they do and their families. And, I get Christmas cards from, send Christmas cards from my LGBT buddies. And once you've gone through this whole process, you're part of this bigger, it's just something bigger, these group of people who have been through this, and you've always got something to talk about. And it's like you meet someone that's been through Leadership Grand Traverse, and, they're automatically a friend, they're in. But can't speak highly enough about the program. It really, truly was something that changed my life. I know it sounds cheesy, but it really did. And Kathy and Rick are both wonderful. And I was looking at the participant list, and I see that Dastardly Dave is with us, which is wonderful. I hope he's doing well. I know he can't speak right now, but good to at least see your name, Dave. And then the last couple of quick things, and I'll turn it back over to Molly. It was a good intro to board service for me. I had served on one board before I started doing Leadership Grand Traverse, and I didn't know much about board service other than my limited experience. Through Leadership Grand Traverse, I think I joined 2 or 3 other boards, mostly because I'm a glutton for punishment. But again, I care about this region, and I love it. And so I currently serve on the Father Fred Board of Directors. Go figure, that was my Health and Human Services Day. So I'm proud to be a part of that organization. I guess my last thing would be, is in terms of advice, is a couple things. One, it's worth every penny, whether your employer pays for it. And if anybody needs someone to advocate or to give them more information or write something down to justify to your employer that this is something that they should pay for, call me. I'm happy to do that. But be present. When you go through this program, be present at all these days. Put your cell phone away, literally. Turn the thing off, and don't look at it. Don't look at your Apple Watch. Nothing. Pay attention to the people around you. Pay attention to the presenters that are talking to you, and pay attention to what's going on, because it can and will likely change your life. And then the last thing, of course, and it's square one stuff. Very simple. Just have fun, because that's at its core. That's really what this is about. So. Again, thank you for having me and allowing me to talk about the program and what it's meant to me. And again, if anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer questions either online or offline, and happy to advocate for the program if you should need it. So thanks again, Molly. I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you.
I'm actually going to hijack it, Molly, for a little bit. So thank you. Is that okay, Molly?
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. Thank you, Max. And you really illustrated when I said that the goal that Rick and I have is that you know yourself first, right? And then when you have all of these experiences in the community, there's just pick one sector of the community in which really drives you, or you have a passion for. And Max had mentioned the Father Fred Foundation and the Health and Human Services. I know you mentioned other days too, but something that really grabbed a hold of him, of which he is still a part of today. So that is exactly what I'm talking about, is who are you, and then what do I have to give, to the community. Rick, I'm going to put you on the spot. So thanks, Max. I'm going to put you on the spot for a little bit. You are my co-facilitator. However, I know that you are a graduate of the program as well. So if you could just pick one of your highlights that you had when you went through the program, and I can't remember when you did, if it was 2012 or 11, something like that, but pick one of your highlights and how it still comes up into your life today.
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks for letting me be part of this. Yeah, I was in the class of 2012, and we didn't have the same format as what we're going to be doing this year, but the ideas and the themes are still going to be woven throughout. So it's very similar in that regard. I think my biggest takeaway was awareness of people who work in different industries and people within. So two levels of awareness. One is awareness and relationships with the people that I was in the cohort with, and the whole experience, like Max was talking about, just that connection with those people, and you form relationships and you have experiences with them, and those are memories that you take away and you continue to reflect on year after year. And then the other level of awareness I was referring to is very similar to what Max was experiencing. It helped me understand Traverse City. I'd already lived in Traverse City for 10 years prior to going into Leadership Grand Traverse, but as Max indicated, it brought a level of awareness to me that in one of my former jobs was a school principal. So it helped me understand where there were community assets that I could actually tap into to support the work I was doing as a principal with my teachers and the students' needs that we had in the building. So that was a really important awareness, not only personally, but professionally. It helped me understand what's going on in our community and the vast network that I didn't have any realization of that was going on. And then I could utilize that network in all those agencies to support even the professional work that I was doing when I was working for Traverse City Area Public Schools. So that would probably be, from an intellectual standpoint, that would probably be a big takeaway. I think just from a fun standpoint, like Max was mentioning, it's just, again, you get to have a lot of cool experiences that you don't do because you are working, and you're going to work every day. And I would always feel guilty about missing work, but then after I went through the whole experience, I was like, yeah, this was totally worth it. It made me a better person professionally because I had so much more awareness. So you got to just have a mindset of going into it like, let's just have some fun, and along the way I'm going to learn some things, and I'm going to get to know people that I didn't know before. And if those aren't things in your comfort zone, I think those are things you just have to allow yourself to be uncomfortable with, because it's just going to stretch you as a person, and it's going to help you just become deeper and wider in terms of your understanding of our community.
Thanks, Rick. And I should have given this little introduction before, but as I mentioned, Rick is my co-facilitator, but he's also a professor of educational leadership at Grand Valley. He's the program director for the master's degree program. So he also is really going to help us with that communication piece of it. He was recently a certified trainer in adaptive communication. And so I know he brings a lot of those skills to the table. And I don't think he'll argue with me when I say that might be one aspect, that because he had kind of talked about that with his experience with LGT. And I have known him for a few years, that he's really wanted to bring that passion. And, how do we communicate with other, where does the communication break down, and how we can rise above that? And I know he's going to bring those skills definitely to the program with us this year. As I mentioned before, I'll tell you just a little bit with me as an alum too. As I mentioned, I am a Leadership Little Traverse alum in Petoskey. And I also was a K-12 school administrator, been in the community for a few years, but worked so much within schools that I didn't know very much outside of that world, right? Outside of the K-12 school system. And I participated in Leadership Little Traverse. And again, it changed my life because I was able to still talk about leadership, be a part of leadership, met some fantastic people, as Max had said. So this was my daughter. I was pregnant with my daughter. She's 19 years old. So this was 19 years ago. And I still keep in touch with some of the people that I actually went through this experience with in Petoskey. And because it gave me something outside of my work, but still within my passion of leadership that I wanted to continue to do. And so how I am paying it forward, so to speak, or where I found my passion was when I moved to Traverse City. It's like, please let me be a part of this. Please let me be part of leadership. So I'm now a graduate of Leadership Grand Traverse, and Molly can't get rid of me. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Molly and talk about, she's also a graduate, an alum too, so she can share a couple of her experiences and then go right into logistics.
Yeah, so thanks, Kathy. And my experience is a little bit different. I actually moved to Traverse City in early August of 2018 for this job that I have today. So I had spent my summers growing up in Beulah, but outside of that, I wasn't super familiar with Traverse City. I knew it was a beautiful place that had a lot of, beautiful water and great outdoor activities. But outside of that, I didn't really know anything about it. So I got to go through the program being in Traverse City for about 2 months. So I went in very open-minded. I didn't know anything going in. And what I gained was obviously a vast knowledge of the area around me as a whole. I learned about all the different sectors that I never would have known about. I'm convinced that I could still be living here 2 years later and still not know about half the things that I've learned about in that very first session that I went through. But more than that, for me, I made connections. I met people in the community that I never would have met otherwise from all different areas. And with the chamber, we obviously reach a ton of people, but to have that one-on-one connection and FaceTime with them to get to know their name, their passions, who they are, get to know them on a much deeper level was amazing, because I got to further that connection with them. I see them now out and about. I can have a conversation with them. I can call them up if I have questions. So that networking piece for me was so valuable and impactful, and just learning more about the community as a whole so I can share those experiences with other new people that come to Traverse City, or people who already may live here and don't know about some of the amazing things that we have. So it was really, really cool for me to come through this program not knowing anything and gaining such a world of knowledge and experience now that I'd love to be able to share with other people. So of course it's my job, but this is my favorite program that we do. I absolutely love it, and I'm so excited whenever we have new people go through. So on that note, I would now kind of like to touch on the logistics. As I stated, I did drop in the link to the Traverse Connect webpage that you can find in the chat box. Applications are open, and they will be open through Friday on July 10th at 12 p.m. So what you can expect in the application is it should take you between 15 and 20 minutes to complete the application. It's a lot of questions about who you are and why you want to go through this program. The one thing I would recommend is to really take your time and answer these questions thoughtfully. We have an entire professional development committee that reviews these applications, and when I say that, I mean they truly read each and every response that you are writing to determine who is going to be a good fit to go through this and what are they truly trying to get out of this and why do they want to be a part of it. So, don't just answer in one or two sentences, really be thoughtful about it and make sure you're taking your time to complete these. Outside of that, it shouldn't be hard. It should just come from your heart and at most take 20 minutes of your time. So I would like to now open it up to any questions that you may have. If there's questions about scheduling, attendance, if you're curious about any of these sessions, what you may learn.
And yeah, and Max and Camille and Rick are all here too. So any questions about scholarship or even if any experiences that Max or Rick may have, please ask. And who's manning the questions, Molly? Are you or is Camille?
I am. I've not seen any come through yet, but
there was one question about the graduation date. There seemed to be a little bit of confusion on that one.
Yes, so we did just get this updated. It is updated now on our website, but the graduation date is actually taking place on a Thursday, and that'll be on March 18th. The reason that it's a Thursday instead of a Friday is because in the morning part of it, we have an actual session to close out and to see how we move forward. At the end of that, from 5 to 7, is a graduation ceremony where we invite your family, your colleagues, your friends. So just for that reason, we wanted to keep it on a Thursday to not take up time on your weekend.
What other questions are there?
So we did have a question come through of how many participants are typically selected for this opportunity, which is a really great question. So as we've kind of stressed how much networking and personal relationships form, part of the reason for that is because we do keep the class size smaller. So we take anywhere from 20 to 25 participants in total, and we max it out at 25. And we won't take any more than that within a year. If for some reason someone doesn't make it through this year, we always keep them at the top of the list to move forward for the following year. But 25 is our max spot. Anywhere between that sweet number of 20 and 25 is what you can expect for a class size.
And I did want to mention too that we are definitely having the discussions and keeping in mind social distancing practices and things like that. So as our pandemic continues to evolve throughout the summer, we're continuing to watch that and look at the guidelines and make sure that your experiences are safe and healthy.
Yes, Kathy, thank you so much for mentioning that. We are watching it, and if for whatever reason we're not able to move forward in person, we have a plan B to set up to make sure you are still getting the same experience without being compromised in person. So if that's a concern, we do have plans for that as well. We are going to follow all the social distancing guidelines. And I did want to mention when it comes to the overnight retreat, because of the current pandemic that is happening, everyone will have their own room that is provided by Traverse Connect. Any other questions that you may have in regards to the program? Kathy, did you have anything else that you wanted to add before we ended this today?
I just apply. I am so excited. We took a year off to look at everything and to really reinvigorate. Camille, like I said, came on board and is really helping us with the content and the day session leaders, and with Rick's enhanced communication certification skills. I'm just really excited. I'm excited to start rocking and rolling. So please apply because I can't wait to meet you and get started.
Perfect. Well, thank you. And I did include my email address in the chat box. It's molly.mcgurr@traverseconnect.com. So if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out. You can also find contact information on our Traverse Connect website on the Leadership Grand Traverse page. If you have any questions in regards to the application, sessions, anything at all, please feel free to reach out. And I would just like to thank everyone here, everyone who attended today to listen in, but especially Kathy, Camille, Max, and Rick for your input and for everything. Thank you guys for being here. Well, if we don't have any additional questions coming in, I will go ahead and wrap this up. As I mentioned, this will be available on our website and our YouTube page by the end of the day today. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And if not, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we hope to see you at our next webinar. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Molly.